as well. It's like,
You know what, I'm
sounds
playing
bad.
the block. League's not going anywhere. I get to try again. I still get to improve. You know.
Yeah.
I think that like yeah, I think you're spot on though. That's not for everyone. That's a very mature stance. Is there any other little things from this one? Yeah, and he was able to be more focused because of his emphasis on the process. And also this one, remember, Nathan, how when you feel extreme happiness, when you win or go 3-0 or you win a game, you're going to feel extreme sadness when you go 0-3. And I think you can tell, like, he's really emphasizing the process.
He's making sure that win streak, the extreme. Everyone talks about not, don't be negative on the losses, but you have to equally not be super excited, high on emotion on the win streak as well. You actually have to learn that skill more so.
Did you see his response? When he won Worlds, he was like, he didn't seem like over the moon, right? He's like, he seemed happy, don't get me wrong, but he didn't seem like, like going crazy, jumping around and doing this crazy shit. He's like, great, I'm proud of myself, but it didn't seem like he was making a massive deal out of it.
Because what he's enjoyed, Curtis, is the process. That's what he's enjoyed more than the wins and losses. I'm sure he was happy, but like that's where you've got to get to. I think it's very difficult to get to that place. You have to be very experienced. And again, I think only Faker was probably sort of maybe in that. I didn't see the faces of the other 4 players, but only he was able to really look like that was his sort of, just leveled out emotion still, or he's containing the absolute extreme happiness.
Let's go on
they
to the
are
other
really
question
heavy
as
AP.
well. Yes, this was the next one. So the question here is, Faker, you're a role model in League of Legends. What do you think is the most important mindset a professional gamer should have?
Minions have spawned.
이거는 이제 프로로서 이제 항상 발전하려는 자세가 가장 중요하다고 생각하고.
Honestly, yeah, I might just go
굉장히 겸손하게.
like Hollow Radiance, Wit's End, and just like
That's a
Beef.
bit of a short one.
Or Hollow
So,
Radiance, Force of Nature,
basically,
Chaotic, if
he
I want to
says,
just be
the
Beef.
most important asset is the attitude of always striving to improve.
I would
The
leash,
way I interpret
but
this was the
yeah, he's just
student
going to instantly
mentality.
shove my
It's not
lane.
about being happy with where you're at. It's about what's next, essentially. Like, I've done this. Like, what is even better? What does the next thing look like? You know what I mean? Like, student mentality, and then also being humble. And I think that in order to have that student mentality, you in a way have to be. You actually do have to kind of be humble, right? Because you won't if you're really egotistical about how good you think you are, you can't really adopt the student mentality at the same time. I just think that was like just a really well said short sharp answer. And again, you can tell he's really thought deeply about this stuff. Like again, he hasn't just like you said, he's not fumbling around his words. He knows exactly what he needs to say. He's using the right language. He's just boom, boom, boom. It's like he's completely internalized that mentality.
Yep, you can tell this is real. And yeah, again, I'll put out the same. I think that there's no other player in League that can articulate and actually has fully embodied this that we've seen.
It's so exciting. I'm so excited.
I agree. And it's
Excited for the future.
It's exciting. I mean, this is what we've been talking about podcast for years.
And
haven't we,
this is what will change the future of League of Legends. It has to come from the top.
Yes.
It has to come from the best players. Faker is doing the entire League community a huge favor. Imagine the amount of young kids, especially in Korea, that are going to look up to Faker. Hear the way he's talking about the game. It's like, holy shit. Like, Faker talking about process, not caring about winning or losing. That just gets me so fucking excited.
I mean, it's come because we've been doing this podcast for coming up to 3 years, Curtis. We've been talking about this for a long time, and
We're starting to see slowly.
Very slowly. We've got one player here. It's good that it's coming from Faker, but we need a lot more, especially in the West.
Yes, especially in the West.
Yes.
The best players in the West.
Yes.
I think Garen. Garen's close.
Yeah.
He's definitely a step in the right direction as well.
Curtis, I do want to play the Jack clip from his podcast.
Okay.
So the JLXP, his podcast. We'll have the links to all this in the YouTube description. I hope you don't forget, Curtis. Sometimes you forget the links.
Yep.
He sort of talked about these interviews, and this is his take on this.
The fact that Faker in 2013 was the youngest mid laner to ever win a world championship. And that's still true today. There's never been a younger mid laner to win a world championship since Faker did it in 2013 at the age of 17. And now Faker's also the oldest player to ever win worlds. The same player from the start of his career to this point in his career is incredible.
Enemy has been slain.
And how do they do it? I think they were incredibly close last year. But the defeat that they had, I think, ended up changing their mindset a little bit. I was on Twitter a lot last night trying to read up as much as I could about the press conference and all the different takes.
Yeah, the reason that I went TP here is it's really hard to get a good wave state against Singed. And TP kind of just allows you to have that good wave state. Like, I would have lost all these minions if I didn't have TP. Same thing against Sion. You always want to do that against Sion.
Commit completely to their process.
Could do it against Darius. I feel like if you're really that scared of Darius, you could go like exhaust barrier probably.
And the ups and downs, then I think you burn out at a faster rate. I think if you're winning too much, just love waking up every day, thinking about your craft, executing and excelling at your craft, and you just get addicted to that loop. That's one of the places you get real greatness.
Well said.
And I think that, as we've seen a lot through sports as well, you know, talking about Phil Walsh, the sport takes care of itself, 49ers, Tom Brady, to have a long career, it has to come down to being in love with it. Again, I think that you can be in love with the process. I think you can, you know, I'm pretty sure, I mean, think about Faker from, you know, season 2. He was probably just lovingly just like playing, you know, 15 games a day, right? Like, he wouldn't even really know what a process is. He wouldn't even be able to articulate really what he thinks. Think about that, Curtis. He's the youngest ever mid lane, still to this day, to ever win a world championship, and now he's the oldest. That's only possible, once again, to be committed, to create a process, be committed to it, and fall in love with perfecting the craft. No one, guys, I can't emphasize enough, no one in the has even come close to Faker's accomplishments. I don't think we might ever see it again. Or world champion. But they always say obviously records make it broken better, so you know, they probably said that many times before like Tom Brady came with the NFL. But dude, Faker can keep winning more.
And they're sticking with the same roster. They've announced
Yeah,
they're
they're
sticking
sticking
with the same roster
with the same
next year.
So I think that was a really beautiful take
was.
by Jat there again, and just demonstrating again. We talk a lot about being obsessed with your craft, not being overly excited about the wins or losses, and that's the fun part. That's what I do. It's not again about the race, it's about again. And God, I love League of Legends.
It's exciting. And I think I'm honestly just inspired. I am genuinely inspired by Faker.
Yep.
He's one of my favorite athletes across any sport.
And I think that yeah, just for all the work we've done on the broken.
I think I actually have to use Ghost here.
Again, push for it again, and just double down on this even again. You know, I mean, we've doubled down. You know, quadrupled 5 times.
I mean, we've said
We're committed now.
We've committed hard to this BBC messaging for now a very long time.
That's right.
And I mean, I think it's kind of
Sweet.
like we're vindicating or quite.
If I didn't Ghost right there, I wouldn't have
Take a say those words.
got the XP for all those.
For us, especially, like how people call us, you know, delusional about our take and.
Yeah, we have your doubt sometimes. Like, okay, you know, his process.
What are we doing?
Do you just play 15 games a day and
Is
just
that
all
it?
about talent?
You know, yeah, is that league? You know,
Yeah.
we've had that gap, but you know, it always comes back to this at the end of the day, and it's satisfying.
Not just league, but in all sports. It's competition.
100%. Love it. So I've got an interesting topic, Nathan, that I quickly want to talk about. So shout out to Hailfire, who actually reminded me of this topic. So I read about this topic called this concept called.
Hey yo, what is
mixed
Jinx
world
talking
hybrid.
about?
I heard this a while ago. I don't know if I was spoken about this in the BBC or not. I'm unsure.
I don't think
He reminded me of it. Maybe
Let's
I read
go,
it somewhere.
dude.
I don't know. So I'm gonna.
We got
kind of
11
read
CS
this
per minute
article
right now?
and kind of
Oh,
go
massive.
in depth on this topic. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie this in within the clip, within the Curtis's clip.
Really
So
surprised that I don't
show
have a
what it looks
bounty,
like, okay?
to be honest.
So we're gonna start with what is the amygdala?
I almost have 11
The
CS per
amygdala
minute. Like,
is a collection of nuclei
it's kind of weird.
located deep in a part of the brain known as the temporal lobe. While we often refer to it in the singular,
I don't think he actually plays
we
Singed.
actually have
Oh no, he
turn,
does.
blah, 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 blah. It's part of
Usually
the limbic
Singed players
system,
can
a
hit
set of
the
brain
E.
structures that help regulate our behavioral and emotional
They do the E
And
buffer
though it's best known for its role in the fight
before
or
the
flight
silence.
or freeze response, it serves a variety of purposes. It's involved in the following functions: detecting threats, triggering a body response, for example, pulling your hand on the hot stove, fear conditioning, like for example, being afraid to drive after getting in a car accident, processing positive emotions, and encoding emotional memories. So what is exactly an amygdala hijack? The term was coined by psychologist Daniel Goleman in his 1995 book, Emotional Intelligence.
Amygdala
It refers
hijack.
to
I
an
was just
intense
talking about
emotional
that.
reaction that's out of proportion to the circumstance. Essentially, the rational brain is bypassed and the signals are sent straight to the emotional brain later. The thinking part of your brain processes that information and you may realize your reaction was over the top. So what actually happens in the brain? The amygdala hijack occurs when any strong emotion, such as anger, fear, anxiety, or even extreme excitement, impairs the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain in the frontal lobe that regulates rational thought. And so anyway, there's research that can kind of that kind of proves this. That is how this function works. While this process is helpful in an actual life or death situation, an amygdala hijack may also occur when your kid hits a baseball through the car window. Having all the blood run from your rational part of your brain won't help the situation and may cause you to act in ways that you may later regret. Here's an example of what's happening in the brain. Number one, sensory stimulus. In this case, the sound of the ball crashing through the window travels through your auditory nerve and converts from a sound wave to an electrical impulse in the brain. Number two, this signal travels to the thalamus and then to the amygdala before it reaches the brain's cortex, the thinking brain. This survival mechanism allows us to react to danger before the rational brain has time to process it. So even before you've even fully processed how the ball got through the window, you can feel your body gearing up for a dangerous situation. Here are some examples of amygdala hijacking. Your boss criticizes you in front of your co-workers. You're so angry that you yell back and you quit your job. A car swerves in your lane, nearly causing an accident. You go into road rage and throw your smoothie out the window. You get a phone call that your loved one is in the emergency room, but you're so distressed that you can't see the details, so on and so forth, right? You lose a tennis match, and in your anger, you throw your racket across the court. Symptoms of amygdala hijacking. Shaking, increased blood pressure, racing heart, fast breathing, tense muscles, nausea. Now, before we even get into, you know, the prevention or can we even stop an amygdala hijack, you know, I think there are many circumstances in League where this occurs. Now,
Absolutely.
this is I think League in a nutshell and why it's so difficult to focus in it for an entire League game, because there are so many events that are so emotionally impactful. I mean, the list goes on, right? You can, you know, your jungler comes mid and dies your laner and gives them double buffs.
That could be one part of the game. Later in the game, someone's pushing a tower when you should be getting an objective, and then you lose both the tower and the objective, and then suddenly another point in the game, someone completely misses their ult or like support or fails flash or something. Like, you could have like 9 or 10 multiple in the series of one game.
And they're gonna happen every game. Every game.
Yeah.
Because of how difficult the game is going to be and how you can lose focus in the game, and that person is going to make a mistake. They're playing at the limit. What mental
Even
stack
for
overload.
yourself as well, you like you press your buttons and it just doesn't happen the way that it's like, come on, like why is my character not moving the way it's meant to?
And this is why you get those extreme emotional reactions a lot of time in a game, which make you inherently play worse or make some
See it in
decisions.
Twitch chat,
Rage,
chat,
yeah,
yeah.
rage teammates. Spam FF code. I think the FF code is actually, in a way, a miniature amygdala hijacking, isn't it? It's like you instant response /FF. It's like in a millisecond /FF, whatever. Or like, or someone spam ping someone, spam pinging someone. The amount of times I've gone into reviews of something, and I see them, they make some, they ping their teammate or whatever, and they're like, wow, I actually forgot about this. I didn't even know this is. They even say, wow, this is cringe. Looking at this.
Bro, I swear I've learned so much about psychology from this than actual psychology in school. Like,
so moving on, it's difficult, but an amygdala attack can be stopped if you make significant effort to be conscious about what's happening in the brain. It helps to prepare in advance by practicing what you would do in various scenarios. and even think about potential consequences of losing control. So you know, I think this is very relevant to League, right? Like, if you understand the consequences of losing focus, if you understand that you're
Bro,
playing
this
mid
wave
lane,
clear is crazy.
you know, shit happens, you get angry, you type, and then you mess up a wave, or you miss an opportunity to roam, or you miss a reset, whatever. That's game changing. Like, for me, specifically, I think there's many reasons as why I don't really have these as much as other people. And for us specifically, we'll get into that, but I think one
I
of
just
them
have
is
so
that
much
I
MR that I
know
can actually just keep doing
how
this.
significant it is if I miss one lull state. If I go on a tangent, I get angry at someone, and I'm not thinking of what I need to do next. I can just lose the game I'm dead. I could give my bounty. I could miss ping. I forget to ping that the
Yeah,
enemy
now he
is
finally
missing,
moves.
and they could roam top and get a kill. There is a trillion things that could go wrong if I lose focus for just 1 second. So I think having an in-depth understanding of the consequences.
Their Rengar is their only hope at winning this
of
game.
Losing focus in a way kind of prevents that, you know, kind of cycle going through, or at least it's kind of like I feel like a barrier that kind of prevents. Shield.
Usually Singed is really good
But I think that's
because
one
he
thing.
can kind of just
I think,
outscale you
There is an element as well of just like here it says the next
by
thing is
proxying,
try
but
to
because
kind
they're
of force
so
yourself into
heavy
the
AP,
situation instead of letting your
there's just going to be no
yourself
point in the
automatically
game
get
that he's going to do that much damage.
Having that emotional regulation, we spoke about that before, that emotional regulation, being able to recognize that you're having these emotions and be like, okay, I understand that.
Like,
I'm
check
having
this
an
out.
emotion right now. I know I'm
We're going to go
angry.
Hullbreaker,
Recognize
we're going
that
to go
you're
Trinity,
angry.
then we're going to go
And be like,
Roker,
okay, but then
and we're going to go Force of Nature. Like,
override that with
this
hyper
guy
regulation. Have
probably
your
won't even
toolkit
break my
override that.
shield.
But that starts.
Love the what's next toolkit.
But that starts with emotional awareness and emotional regulation, which is a skill within itself that you develop, and obviously comes sometimes with maturity, not always. But I think that's a skill within itself that League can teach you over time upon reflection, being honest with yourself, having those tough conversations. And then, yeah, deep breathing, that can be another one. That's I remember with Jono back in the day with Chippies. When Chippies would, you know, die or get solo killed or get dove, he would then lose focus, do dumb shit, and then play even worse. And then what Jono worked with Chippies was lowering the heart rate, deep breaths, regaining coherence, and again ask in the, what do I need to do next? Very high questions. Do you have anything to comment on before we move on, like before we continue in this article? No, love that. The next one is, can it be prevented? Right, can the amygdalas have just be straight up prevented? You can also practice long-term prevention by engaging in regular calming practice. For instance, starting a regular meditation practice will naturally help your fight, flight, or freeze response become less
Like, I literally
reactive.
have 11.4
Yeah, I can't say
CS
I've-
per minute
I've
right
done
now.
regular meditation,
This
so
guy
that's
is
interesting.
Neither.
not doing the best.
Yeah, so apparently there was a study.
I wish you
a
could
large
stack
brain scan
swaps.
study that researchers discovered that long-term meditators had reduced
Right now,
the activation when they were
I've already swapped
negative feelings, which is really interesting.
my
Even
Ghost
finding
and my...
So this is able.
Or no, I guess my TP hasn't been
So
swapped.
we talk about toolkit in terms of minimizing it.
I forgot I did
And
go
then
TP. Okay, I can swap
straight up
TP.
Prevent it by just like training yourself through meditation.
And I think in a way meditation is kind of like a way of like practicing mindfulness, right? In a way you're learning to be present in the moment.
I'm not
and,
gonna
like,
rotate on
focus
this.
on really what it is, right? So that kind of makes
I'm just gonna keep being a fucking menace.
So yeah, I really wanted to talk about this.
At this rate, at the time that I go down to fight, I'm going to be max build. Like,
Be aware of this thing that it is a thing that is going to happen to you.
Sort of like I always think like this is like the messed up program.
Right.
Like this is the
Bug
error
in the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's
We're gonna deal
inevitable.
with.
And so I think that, yeah, through those toolkits, so this is where those toolkits really come into play. Emotional regulation, working on that, being aware of the consequences.
then I just steal his whole jungle.
Losing your control. And then I think as well, Nathan, for us, having that deep respect for the difficulty of the game allows you to kind of think deeper. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, this guy, you know, who knows what's going on in this situation. The game's hard. He's going to make mistakes. That's why he's that rank. You know, like having these
Allows us to tap into the rational side very easy because what about saying everything in League makes sense.
Then we just start to steal his
The
jungle,
moment
and then we
it makes
recall.
sense, your view of reality
No.
is wrong.
No.
So you know, people say, well,
Please tell me the
Nathan,
scuttle's here.
How does it
Yeah.
make sense that this person can play this fight so poorly? It's like, well, you know, it can. You know, like welcome to the human error of League. You know, you might have that experience in these type of situations. He's already in emotional poor state because he's being played poorly. Like human element of the game is what people disregard.
I do need to waste this ignite though in order to get TP, so I'm just gonna run up to this Singed and full trade on him with Ignite.
You're not seeing how they perform.
That's another rational thing.
That's another rational call. And the way I view that, Nathan, it's like this ever-present thing that's just like,
Oh my
it's like
gosh.
preloaded into
Well, now
your
I don't
brain
need it.
when you're heading into a game. It's like we have these things, like when you really deeply embed these kind of messages, it's kind of like an automatic toolkit that's permanently running. It's like a program running in the background.
So it's like something happens that's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. You don't even think it's just
You
subconscious.
don't even think,
at this point,
we
yeah.
legit don't even think about
It's like, well, yeah, just
it.
what's
Doesn't
next?
even get into our thought. It's like
Yeah.
when we see some guy die or make a mechanical mistake, there is no spike in emotion all the time. Zero. Because again, that's where that program running in the background, such as, oh, yep, League's a difficult game. This guy could just be having an off game, such, or even this guy. Everyone's rank always makes sense. Right? We're just seeing that one play. Like, again, we know, because we're aware of how shit we look in the game. Everyone else is going to look shit as well. I know I've lost single-handedly these games, making disgusting decisions. And if
This
you
dude's
put me in
gross.
isolation, I would look like a gold player. But you can say that about anyone. Right? And I think that's...
I
again,
still
the
haven't used my
programs
flash.
that we have running in the background, and you can develop, you can add them, install them in your own, your own little operating system.
I guess that's the mindset, right? It's really trying to build up the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is so powerful, and the more you repeat things, the more. That's why our communities are so important, because you're around all this, and it's sort of listen to this podcast. We're slowly getting messages into the This is why.
I'm just a beefcake, bro. Like, I am so tanky. Their comp is so terrible.
So I guess bypass.
Yeah. Will it be a little bit harder to hijack?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we could.
Now, let's move on to Curtis's clip. Or we do someone's school first. I think let's just ruin the order. I think we're gonna, it's a beautiful thing, right? Let's get into the details. And welcome everyone to Curtis's fifth corner. So getting into
Guys, I don't have any armor.
those of you in the MLA, playing victory. Essentially what happens in the early lane, she's really doing a great job of avoiding all of these Xerath Qs, right? She was avoiding so many of them. And she was confident, her movement was great, she just poised, controlled, like, she just like looked like she had control of her character really well, right? And you can already see she's burned both spots from Xerath, she's already got spots in the back pocket, she's dominating, right? What happens is that she comes back to base off the first recall, and she realizes when she TP's back that she didn't replenish her resources, right? For something like she's not stopping with it, and she goes, God damn it.
Walk out of base with 700 HP instead of 1,000.
Right, which is a pretty big deal, especially when you're playing these
I will.
mage
Okay.
matches, right? So she already was a little bit annoyed, and that happened, right? And then what happened, she came back into lane, and she got hit by the first Q. The Xerath actually predicted where the victor was, where Van was going to move. So now she's already at half HP.
On the fresh base.
On the fresh base.
Oh no.
And so she's like, kind of like, and it rattled her.
Brother.
Right? It rattled her.
Yeah.
And then what happened, right, is that her movement proceeded to completely change. And I commented, it took me a while to realize, I'm like, look at her movement. She's now overcomplicating it. She's now trying too hard. She's like, she's now clicking back and forth, which is not what you want to do. You want to do short and long clicks, smooth movements. And she starts getting hit by every ability here. Look at this in a second. Gets hit by every ability. And I said, man, you don't even look like the same player. If I put that gameplay there without the skin and the name and everything, and then compared it with the first section, you wouldn't even think they are the same player. You would think they're two different players.
Going from dodging every Q to missing every, getting hit by every ability, and the rattling, the making up one mistake is now.
Bro, I'm gonna have so much MR.
And so what's happened here is, I think, and this is what Hailfire said, it's an amygdala. It was an amygdala hijack. She was coherent in flow state, and she now starts thinking. She was now, had a bit of like an amygdala hijack. She's now emotional, judging herself, all that shit, and then she lost focus, got out of flow state, and then she's now up shitting streak without that.
Bro,
And,
I'm so
she kind of
tanky,
had
I
this
can
discussion about
actually
it post-
chase
I thought it
Singed.
was really interesting. This is kind of how it can look like. It can be that
Imagine
small.
that.
It can be as small as, I got got hit by a skill shot, ruined my lane. You beat yourself up. You beat yourself up about it, and then you're in a shitty situation. Another MLA member made an interesting comment. He said, I get that, right, where I
Spin. Bink. Bong.
all right.
All
Bring
of
it
you
on.
only
Like,
have
show me what you
AP.
got. Like that, like kind of be proactive in your.
You
attacking
damn
your
mage
back.
fools.
That mindset. So rather than cowering and be like, oh no, I'm getting hit by this skill shot, flick the narrative.
Yeah, that's
bring it
right.
on,
I
show me
chase
what you got.
singed.
And that allowed Dewey, this other guy, to break that, to regain control of what Ration thought, I guess, if you will. So I don't know, I just thought this was an interesting.
That's right. No! My W just came back. I just gave a 700 gold bounty. Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is something so many times in Rek'Sai, especially with like my whole early game
Close.
mindset. Beautiful early game, get rattled and run bad decision, then I go and run onto my die again, like, and it just snowballs. And then
Alright, we don't want to completely throw
the
yet.
rattling sometimes is bigger in those games when you play really well at the beginning because you're expected to keep playing well. Sometimes my games with sloppy early games, I just play out of my mind rest of the game
Yeah.
because all expectations are gone.
Wow, that's so fascinating, actually. I might explain. I got an MLA client who said, I feel like I'm winning a lot of games when I'm starting off 0-2.
Yeah,
That's probably the way, because now his expectations are so low. He knows his free
Yeah, he's free fire.
free flow
You're
save,
not trying
doesn't
too
give a
hard.
shit. Like, he gives a shit, but he's not overcomplicating, not
Yeah.
over trying.
It's like this art of not trying, right?
Yeah. Remember we said that in that other episode where you don't want to be trying 100%. You kind of want to be like that 95, that range there, where you're trying, but you're not trying too hard. Because that's when you care too much and then you're too emotionally invested. But yeah, there's something there. There's definitely something there.
We're funny people. Summer school? Yep, let's jump straight into the summer school service. Posting the time. Road to 16. Part of this one. Videos say that to climb in low elo, you have to punish the mistakes of enemy players since they are low elo and mistakes. Not factoring in that I am also a low elo player and make the same mistakes. Don't know what that I am doing them. How should I recognize these mistakes? And got a bit of discussion, 100 upvotes, comments.
I mean, yeah, I'm just a complete beefcake, so. As long as Rengar is dead, I mean, I could just tank all of them for years.
Same thing happened when I was trying to learn AD carry a while ago. Random stuff like potions and me, I can see it.
Holy, I actually take no damage.
Can I do that without using
I actually take no damage.
It's just an example.
Woohoo, nice teamwork. Yeah.
Like, if I can do that, how would
Thank
I?
you, Kung Fu Panda.
On the other hand, since I'm playing my elo, I'm sure I also make mistakes or even the same mistakes.
Well,
with
yeah,
the
because
same
I did tank a lot of damage, but
So how would I punish them for it? How to know if from the start,
like this gives
if I'm
what?
Sure if I knew I was doing a mistake.
135 MR, and then this gives what, 80?
Focus on me.
We're gonna have almost like 400 MR when we complete this build. They're gonna be doing actually nothing. I'll TP.
I've got to take it, but I don't know if you want to start.
Yep, you should start with that, Garen.
Yeah, like I made a video a while ago that I kind of regret making, to be honest, and I kind of changed my opinion on a few things. And essentially, look, the reality is that you shouldn't even be really thinking about any mistakes. At the start, you need to be focusing on playing good fundamentals. When you play good fundamentals in Legends, the way it works, it's like you're killing two birds with one stone. When you understand the fundamentals and can execute upon the fundamentals, you'll automatically spot the enemy not playing the Legends. And then opportunities will naturally present themselves as a result of you doing the right thing. It's like a flow chart.
What do you think you're doing?
Well, firstly, bronze, silver, gold, orange, platinum. Learn what we want.
Not a
How do we
single
play the
one
game?
of them
What are
has
good
even
fundamentals?
started to
That's
build
step number
Void
one.
Staff.
Then step number 2 is then it starts to look at the enemy's stats and punish it.
You won't even have the mental capacity or the mental to actually even think about what
You
you're
don't
doing.
need to know what you want as a bronze player.
That's
Again,
right.
you can't even see it, so how are you going to be able to punish someone
That's
else's
right.
CS?
Yep, in bronze, it's actually legitimately all about developing champion mastery, developing muscle memory with your champion, understanding your champion's reference points. It's actually not
Holy,
even
I'm fast.
about the fundamentals
Actually, it's actually even before the fundamentals. There's actually champ mastery first. Do you even know what your abilities do? Do you know what the identity of your abilities are? Do you know your key fights? Do you know what sort of fights you like? Do you know what like chat with your team? And do you even have the momentum to execute?
I am actually super
Once you've done
speed right
that,
now.
Then you get into the fundamentals. Specifically, again, depending on the champion that you play, is what our programs are designed for. In my program, what I talk about is in what order, what fundamentals are actually important for the champion that you play. That's actually, I mean, anyway, that's the level of depth I go into the school program. And then once you start chipping away those fundamentals, again, mistakes, you won't even have to think about punishing any mistakes because it will happen even naturally. It literally happens anyway. It's like if I'm doing my champion's job and I'm playing in accordance with the fundamentals, it's like the situations will literally fall your lap.
I don't think so. Not from my
Oh,
experience.
really?
I
Just from a
think,
jungle perspective?
yeah, I think
Right.
you need to be. I find a lot of people, things happen, even people that are pretty good at
Right.
the champion, and we're missing opportunities to punish because
Right.
maybe jungle's a bit more advanced because you can punish tempo, not in the elite.
Holy, why am I so fast?
Jungle is a little bit different because you're not really interacting with the enemy multiple. Within mid, it's very, very obvious.
That's sort of what I feel
Is
like.
this
what the
really
low points are
just
for some
all
people
the
that
power
play.
of
Their
Cloud Soul?
next step is how do I punish the enemy's mistakes? That's actually something I need to. That's
She hits.
That's what I could do with those stuff.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's the same thing. Bronze, champ mastery, same thing.
You don't have to think about
Don't even worry about the stream.
It is specific things on the person, the rank, where to prioritize. And that's what usually try to figure out. Where do we put our attention based on where the person is at their journey?
And what champions are like that's you can't even call it. What champion you want?
Don't talk generally about the game. Champion first. Champion first.
On
champion
Malzahar
first. That's
at level 3 into this matchup, into my weight state, into my jungle, like you gotta get
way more important.
way more. You gotta get way more. Learn to get into it.
Holy, we're immortal. We're
But
actually
again,
immortal.
and by the way, like if people say, but how can I do that? Well then, you know, either you're gonna have the motivation to figure it out via using content and through your own experience, develop these master yourself, or you're gonna get some coaching. That's it.
Like, what is that damage?
Alright, mailbag time, Curtis?
Yep.
Away we go! Alrighty then, our first question here comes from Ra. The title of this email is winning the true spirit of dominating your opponents? Hi Curtis and Nathan, I'm writing to you with a silly
Yes,
story that
now
I
we have
think you might
Chaotic.
enjoy. When I'm not grinding solo queue,
Oh
I'm
man, I
out
have to
with my friends
fucking
and playing
piss so
games.
bad.
Every time, right before we win, my friends start a surrender vote, which I think is hilarious. And we
Let's
always
end
vote
this quick,
yes.
fellas. I'm
One
starting to
time
see
our
yellow.
entire team, including the Rams, actually voted in time and ended up surrendering before the enemy Nexus exploded and losing the game. I'm not sure
Bro,
I've ever laughed harder than playing LoL.
300
I-
MR.
My buddy, the one that started the vote, was fuming. He was legitimately upset that we technically lost the game because what matters is what your match is preset. He said he would actually take the 3 wins and keep that focus. I feel differently. I think FFing, after acing your opponents and destroying their nexus, is the ultimate act of dominating the enemy. It's akin to spitting in their face and telling them that they're not even worth winning against any third-rate opponent. Well, this is never happened. You can experience things like that. What competition? Competition about winning by any
Was that a 1000 HP heal?
or is it about utterly dominating the enemy?
Bro, I'm immortal. We gotta check damage mitigated. We got to.
You can take this on many routes. I want to keep it versus one.
Bro, me and Briar soloed that game. What?
When I leave a game of League, I know, personally, deep down,
Let's check it. Let's check it.
whether or not I perform better than my counterpart or not. I know that. I can answer that question. I know. And when
Yeah, I didn't take a lot of damage, but the
when I got
mitigated.
outplayed by my opponent,
She mitigated more.
don't
GG.
really feel
GG. FF.
right. Personally.
FF. Game's rigged.
even if I get this, I don't feel that great. I know that I don't beat myself up about it. I know that's league. I'm gonna get carried sometimes, right? It's part of the journey, right? But in saying that, I would say I feel basically identical when if I perform well and lose versus perform well and win. Or if I perform poorly and win, or perform poorly and win. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, whether the win or lose, it's I personally inside, I know. Like, if I get outplayed and I get shit on the lane and I win, I still feel the same way versus, you know what I mean? No matter if it's a win or a loss. So it's about how at least for me, how I perform. It's not really about the end result. It's about how I personally performed, specifically in relation to myself and relation to my direct counterpart. There's actually 2 layers there for me personally. So for me, if we're going to talk about what does competition mean to me, what does it mean to be competitive, and what does competition mean to me, I would say competition means, am I happy with how I myself as an individual performed? Am I content? Did I feel like I genuinely expressed my best self?